Welcome to episode 92 of CUZZO-OP. My name is Isaiah Velez, aka IV, and I am joined by my brother, my cousin, my co-host,
Willie, also known as Arrow.
And Arrow has been gracious enough to host and convey our predictions during this Oscar season. He has also been the only person here at CUZZO-OP who has watched majority of these movies that were nominated, even the short ones. And so I shouldn't even be hosting this episode because all I am is somebody who has seen some of these and am super biased according to my genres and thinks Hollywood should all suck it. But that's just my expression personally. Maybe you rock with me. If so, welcome to CUZZO-OP. You already know what we do here. We talk about the movies, the TV, and the video games, but we want to just recap after you get made our predictions, Arrow, in such a beautiful format. You jokester, you clown. Look at you, bud. You're great. You're excellent with what you do. And you got a tie on. And you dressed up for the Oscars. Yo, he's G'd out. Bro, you excited? What are you excited about this conversation? And how did you feel about the Oscar evening, dude?
Listen, I'm excited about this conversation. I am, because you told me, yo, bro, I'm going to be honest. I just want to talk when it's all done. I got nothing to say beforehand. And I'm excited because I enjoyed the Oscars for the most part. There were things about it that I thought were well done, things about it that I was like, not so much. But overall, I'm happy with this season. I'm happy.
That's good, bro. If anybody should be happy and can appreciate it, again, it's you. I got to keep referring to the fact that I'm super biased on what I have to say and what I think about your opinion because you're educated on what it is that we're about to talk about. Again, like we talked about with the predictions. And yet, I also know that I probably adopt some of the majority chatter of what people are saying on Twitter and on the internet when it terms of how out of touch it can feel like this award show can be from the majority fan base, and how it keeps getting wider in the gap between what the upper voices of the decision makers in this awards show have to say versus what just the fellow man, the blue collar person might actually think about the movies, which is interesting. It's just interesting, Interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah. For all the nominees in the categories, outside of documentaries and the short films itself, I watched everything as well as the original songs. There were 2 movies in the original song category that I wasn't able to watch before season, but everything else I saw everything so that I can really kind of just what am I feeling? How am I feeling? Which is why I was excited. I've done this for 2022 and 2023. But now I'm like, this was my first year. I feel like I did it all pretty damn well. And I'm excited. So
absolutely, bro.
Yeah, bro. I mean, I got the tie. I got the hat that kind of looks like the color of the Oscars. I was just like, you know what?
Cooking with some gas.
I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna have fun here. So
as you should, bro. And that being said, I'll pass the steering wheel over to you for us to kind of navigate backwards or forwards or the same way through all of these different categories and talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, first things first, I want to talk about something that we've discussed a few years in a row at this point. The host of the Oscars. This year we had Conan O'Brien.
I love Conan so
much. My
much.
gosh. He was so good as a host.
I love him.
Absolutely fantastic. And I mean, I haven't liked Jimmy Kimmel over the last few years, the way he's been doing it. Conan was like a breath of fresh air. Fantastic jokes towards every single movie. He was, So yeah, I appreciated the host. So I'll give him a 10 out of 10.
Me too. I mean, I love Conan. I feel like what's funny about Conan is that Conan has a particular type of comedy style, but it's almost like whoever decided he would be the one that would do this understood that type of humor is necessary to kind of fill that gap that we were talking about earlier when it comes to like what that environment of those people that are higher up in Hollywood have to say about movies and what us little men, even the Drake and Kendrick joke had me dead. Like he touched different parts of culture with his jokes. And he was also just like himself and funny and authentic. And it didn't feel like it was fake or weird or real formal. Sometimes Kimmel can come off like that. So I loved it, bro. Shout outs to Conan. I loved his opening address. I thought that was so funny.
Right. It didn't feel like it belittled anything.
Yeah.
The way Kimmel will sometimes kind of go off and do.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I just 10 out of 10 Conan. If you back next year, you back next year, and I'm enjoying all of it. Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But all right. So let's hop into this. Let's just do our little recaps and what we think of each particular category. Starting off with the writing for original screenplay. The 5 noms were Anora, The Brutalist, A Real Pain, September 5th, and The Substance. And remind me, what was your
my prediction? My prediction there was The Brutalist.
Okay. So I think my prediction was also The Brutalist for that one. Or I guess I should say my prediction was Anora, but what I would have chosen was The Brutalist.
Okay, so going forward, we're remember Arrow had both his hopes and his prediction. I just had hopes, no prediction. So you did predict that this would be Anora. That's definitely what you said. Yeah.
Right. And I believe Anora won this, right? This website keeps crashing for the Academy Awards, so it's kind of frustrating, but
I believe so.
Yeah, this was, to me, it was clear. I mean, and you're going to hear it a few times from us today regarding Anora. It felt like the favorite to win so much for me.
Facts.
It was like, this is the accessible on both ends, the higher ups and the blue collar, as you said. They both had this movie and something attached to it. So I was like, yeah, it's going to be going to this one. And how does that make you feel in regards to just the original screenplay? Because I've seen a lot of issues already with the simplicity of Anora and how, it's too simple.
Yeah. I mean, this is a stereotypical storyline, to be honest with you. It's not like something that we haven't seen or been exposed to before. It's filled with a lot of tropes that have been written out prior. So I think what you're saying in terms of it being a favorite, I think it got a lot of favorite love in this category. And I didn't see all of these. I know I like September 5th, September 5. And I know the screenplay of Anora. And the funny thing about it is because when I had heard about it for the first time, it was like before I even like knew any of what was in it. I just heard somebody say, well, yeah, I saw this movie and I don't even remember what the name of it was. I can't remember right now, but it was just such a beautiful love story about trauma and being attracted to things that, provide you comfort. And like what the person was obsessed with was the emotional content of the movie. And I think that that's what made it special. And we know that's what made it win a lot and a lot of things. I think there was a heartbeat to it. But when it comes to the actual writing, do I feel like it deserved it when I've also heard some insane writing from The Brutalist and September 5 as an actual live story, like based off a true story for real? I don't know, bro. I just feel like, this was already when I was in a tizzy. When I saw the first one, I was like, oh yeah, it's going to be in for a fun time. We're going to have a fun time tonight as the gap continues to expand. So whatever.
All right. Well, I mean, the writing continued over into the adapted screenplay area with A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Amelia Perez, Nickel Boys, and Sing Sing up for grabs. My prediction, Conclave, who I was, if I were choosing Sing Sing and IV, what were you going for here? A Complete Unknown?
Complete Unknown, yeah. Just off the Timothy Chalamet love. But
So I was right when I said it in the prediction.
You were right. Yeah. But it was funny because I was sitting at the table the night of the Oscars having dinner, and one of my friends was like, yo, Conclave is so good. You have to watch it.
It was.
And so it's cool to see it win. It makes me need to go watch it. I have to catch up on that one.
Yeah, it's on Peacock.
As long as Amelia Perez didn't win, I was going to be happy.
Right. Conclave was spectacular. It's I don't know if you know anything about it.
Yeah.
Just a mystery involving the Catholic Church and the decision of who you're going to be choosing as your next pope. It went crazy.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you actually bring up the Amelia Perez just issues because, on a very simple, basic level, what Amelia Perez was aiming to kind of do, I feel like Conclave had a little bit of that in there, but better. And so it was interesting, and I'm happy it won it. Like, again, I predicted it, and because I was like, it only makes sense that it would go to something like Conclave. So I'm 2 for 2, right? So far in the predictions that land.
You're already eating, dog. You're eating, dog.
Visual effects: Alien Romulus, Better Man, Dune Part 2, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and Wicked. I shot both my hope and prediction together, same bullet, and I know you were there too. And I'll tell you why I went with the winner, Dune Part 2, because I'm tired of the monkey. Like, oh, VFX, if you could do a monkey good, you're going to win the awards. I've seen it already.
What's up with that?
I may even go as far to say as I don't feel like there was a huge difference or upgrade between Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes and the last Planet of the Apes, where I'm like, no, thank you. Wicked wasn't going to get it. There have been lots of slander towards Wicked in the VFX department.
No, never. There was a lot of slander facts.
Better Man, I guess, was cool, but it just...
Yo, bro, the slept on film in this entire show with the slept on director. You already know, we already said this. Like, I thought that, I'm biased, bro. I thought that this movie deserved a lot more looks, a lot more love. They giving it the Lord of the Rings 2 Towers treatment right now, where it's like a little dip. And we already have a Dune 2 episode that's extremely slept on. I think it only has like less than 10 views on YouTube, which I think is crazy because Dune 2 is definitely, and you know why? It's because that episode came out at the same time that this movie came out, which is what the issue is here. I think if Dune 2 was released toward the back end of the year in more of a hot spot for this window of awards, and we didn't all have bombardment of a ton of different pieces of content throughout the year, this would be a different discussion. So when it won this visual effects, I was very happy to see that because it deserved the visual effects. Off just the scene of these dudes jumping off the cliff and floating into the, come on, bro.
Yeah.
Y'all to stop.
Absolutely. And,
stop.
You know, Alien Romulus was also nominated here, but they were never going to win it with what they tried to do with, was it Ian Holmes?
Ian Holmes, yeah.
Yeah,
but that movie is astonishing.
Absolutely. And, you know, I actually think it low-key got snubbed in the next category, sound. Yeah. Where the nominees are Complete Unknown, Dune Part 2, Amelia Perez, Wicked, and The Wild Robot. What does sound mean? I really need to know what that means because I feel like Romulus, one of its strongest points was its entire audio design. And Dune Part 2 won this category as well, which I predicted and hoped for because that was fantastic in that movie as well.
Yep.
So
I think sound is about, you know, when you're playing Call of Duty, we just talked about this. When you're playing Call of Duty and you got your Turtle Beaches on and you can hear the footsteps of somebody coming around the corner from a whole different room, like it takes intentionality to know how to balance those things and help them to immerse you in a world. And I agree. I think Alien Romulus should have been here, but especially over Amelia freaking Perez. I'm going to keep dog walking this movie all episode. But like, at the end of the day, I'm glad Dune took it because if you just close your eyes and listen to that movie, you in there. And that's what it's about. Right. Same with Romulus, though. You close your eyes, you in there too, right off rip.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to jump over, since you keep bringing it up, musical, or the music original score is what I'm going to talk about. Nominees: El Mal, The Journey, Like a Bird, Mi Camino, and Never Too Late. I knew Amelia Perez was walking out of here with something. And so this is what I was really giving it. I was like, they're going to win it because this is every ad I see for this movie has Zoe Saldana doing all the dance moves in the audience. And I was like, yeah, they're getting this. I would have chosen Like a Bird, but I think this is the category where I was like, I just love Sing Sing.
Yeah.
And again, I didn't watch the 688 or Never Too Late to see how it was incorporated into the film. So this is the more like, I don't really know if I could fully judge this one. So I went with El Mal. It was the popular choice for me, and I was like, yeah, they're getting this one. Whatever. To me, it doesn't even sound that good, and I've sent it over to people who can speak Spanish, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Mexicans, all who speak different kinds of Spanish, and the one thing I heard from all of them is, that sounds terrible. So
I don't know what's going on with the world, bro. I don't know why it is that this movie even got a look, but you guessed it correct. You understood the tide. I need y'all to understand he's gotten every single one of these correct so far. All his predictions are right so far. He's on stupid timing. So you got it. You got it, Willie. You got it, Arrow. Do your thing, bro.
All right, so now we have music original score with The Brutalist, Conclave, Amelia Perez, Wicked, and The Wild Robot. Now, for me, in this particular department, number one, what is an original score? Because I know Dune Part 2 was out because he used a lot of the music from Dune Part 1. But for me, I'm like, I don't like that
What?
Wicked is in here
I agree.
because Wicked is a musical that's existed for 20 like years at this point, and I'm listening to the original track of the songs from the musical, and I'm like, they're the same words,
Yep.
similar sounding back score. So I'm
Yep.
like, did this deserve to be here? So there
I
were
think it's
only
a double
two,
standard.
right? And I think it should have been cut. I don't think Dune 2 should have been here. I think Wicked should have been cut.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree. Yeah, I agree. That's good. That's a good play.
the Brutalist and the Wild Robot were the only two here for me where I was like, it's going to one or the other. But the opening 5 minutes of The Brutalist, the score is what grabs you by your neck, and it just remains there the entire time. It just,
Mm-hmm.
the entire movie is backed by such a beautiful score that I was there like, I'm going that way.
Smart. Yeah, I mean, the Wild Robot had a lot of that as well. Not as much dialogue, a lot more of the music. But when it comes to the original score and it comes to the song that does that, I think impact wise, all of the sound from that movie, which is why it was nominated for sound, was really what was special. It's not like one specific song stands out. So I'm happy for the Brutalist on this one. And again, Arrow was correct.
All right. So up next, we're going to dive into the production design. The Brutalist, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Nosferatu, and Wicked were the noms. And who won this one? Wicked. Now, to be honest, this is one area where I went with the Brutalist as who I hoped, because this movie, a 3 hour and 20 minute with notable actors, Adrian Brody, Guy Pearce, Felicity Jones, was made off of 10 mil. It was filmed over 30-ish days.
Sick.
Now, to me, I'm like, maybe Hollywood and the bigger budgets they're throwing to other movies have made me lose my sense of, is 10 million really not like a lot of money to make a movie? But again, what I saw in theaters, I was like, that's an accomplishment.
Yeah.
But why did I go Wicked? It was a phenomenon that I didn't see winning in other areas. And I said in my original Wicked review, there were times where I was watching that movie where I was like, is this what people felt like when they were watching The Wizard of Oz when that first came out in color? Because they did go hard. So I respect this one.
They
I
did.
respect Wicked winning.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with what you said. I still hoped for Dune 2 because I'm a Dune 2 boy, and I also really love the idea of like he's made that desert feel magical, bro. I want it to be Fremen. Gang. You know what I mean? You think about the production, like the the temple, the safe haven with all the water from all the people who died. Like you feel the magic in that scene in particular when you think of like the way that set is done, the production of the suits, the production of this. I thought all that was fire, but again, like you said, I can always respect the phenomenon, and I know that Wicked definitely needed at least one or two looks. So
Right.
it's good.
So, I mean, let's take a look at that other look that they got, costume design. Nominees were A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Gladiator 2, Nosferatu, and Wicked. I'm fine with Wicked winning this one. This was the one where I was like, yeah, go both.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
biopics are always going to be looked at. And A Complete Unknown, oh, they captured the time correctly. All right, cool. Conclave, all right. I could turn on Assassin's Creed and watch that and see that too, you know. Gladiator 2, okay, yes. Nosferatu, that was cool, gothic, and they did very well. This was the other nom that I was like, maybe it'll go to them. But Wicked was vibrant, colorful, and it told a story in its own costuming
It did.
as well. So
It did.
I was like, yeah, let those two win.
It did. I think originality wise, do I think it was as original as it could have been? No, not at all. But that's not what costume design is measured by. It's not measured by originality. It's just measured by quality. And the reality is that it was a high quality level of costume design in that movie. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Makeup and hairstyling. The noms were A Different Man, Emilia Perez, Nosferatu, The Substance, and Wicked. And The Substance won. I didn't even like The Substance like that.
I
But
feel
as a
like
body horror, bro,
I
It's
feel
good.
like you saw. I feel like you saw a list before all these because I just don't know how you got a perfect score on all these so far. Like,
I didn't. I mean, so far I watched these movies. I sat there and I watched these movies, bro.
yeah, all right.
All right. The Substance, his entire plot is diving into how a woman, older woman in Hollywood, get overlooked by the new, young, and beautiful. So she's taken a shot to make herself young and beautiful, but it goes body horror. It begins to shape and format in different ways. Makeup gotta go crazy in the body horror flick.
Yeah,
Like The Thing, 1980, I believe is when that came out.
yeah.
That same kind of mindset of Amelia Perez was cool with what they did with the actress, a different man, Sebastian Stan, he looked, very different than what you would expect Sebastian Stan to look like. Nosferatu and Wicked wasn't winning this. I was not giving this one to Wicked at all. But again, for a horror movie like The Substance to be nominated in this category and for it to be body horror, I'm saying to myself, give it to that. Because it's not going to win anything else,
It's not
truthfully.
getting anything else. Big facts. I hear that big time. Yeah, that's good. That I'm glad it got something. At least it took a piece of flesh home.
Right. Um, International feature film. Now, nominees being I'm Still Here, The Girl with the Needle, Amelia Perez, The Seed of the Sacred Fig, and Flow. I'm Still Here won. Now,
Yeah,
this
we
was
know.
very clear because there were only two of these on this list going to, in the Best Picture noms, right? Or yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and they weren't giving Amelia Perez Best Picture. I was scared that they were going to go with Amelia Perez because of
I'm
all the
glad they
love
did.
here. But 2 days before the Oscars, I sat and watched I'm Still Here in theaters, and I was just blown away by all of it. And then I looked into it and I saw why the director, and I think that's a big piece for me. Why did the director make this movie? I'm Still Here is about a family who lived in a kind of like regime or Rio time period. The director knew the family
Oh
years
wow,
ago and would be in the household and interact with the family. And so many years later to take the book written by the son that's in that family and adapt it for the, I'm like, that's
that's
crazy.
special. That's deep. Yeah.
So to me, I was like, clear as day, boom. And I'm happy I was able to catch it in theaters because I don't necessarily know if I would have, if I had missed it for Oscar season,
Hmm.
gone and watched it afterwards.
That's fire. That's fire.
What is next? Film editing. Anora, right? Another win for Anora in this category.
Yeah, film editing they gave to
Look at
Anora.
that. And I lost.
You lost. It's because it shouldn't have been that way. As much as Anora
I
deserves
do
what it
agree.
deserves, bro, I just feel like again, like same way with the writing, like. But I think like when you look at the other competitors, like which one probably should have gotten it, like do you really think it's Conclave or do you think it's The Brutalist due to the fact that I mean The Brutalist obviously rises as best picture this year? Like I just feel like I didn't see a lot of The Brutalist when it comes to the stereotypical things. I know performances of the actors, we saw some of that, but when it comes to what makes a movie great, I didn't see a lot of love toward those aspects of this film amidst these like attributes types of awards. And so I don't know. It was just interesting. I was like, oh wow, y'all gave it to Anora. That's okay if you say
Yeah.
so.
I mean, I didn't think it was going to Anora. I was a bit shocked when it went to Anora. I was kind of like, really? Um, I would have picked The Brutalist or Conclave. I mean, I predicted Conclave because I thought it was just tight. I thought the editing on it
Clean.
was just clean. Anora was clean too, but not for a standard this big. But I guess it was. I guess I'm wrong. And you know what? Okay.
Sorry, bro. We can't win them all. We can't win
Right.
them all.
Can't win them all. Directing. The noms being Sean Baker, Brady Corbett, James Mangold, Jaquez Aridad, and Coraline Farget.
I have no comment on this. I'm gonna shut up and veto of. I mean, in solidarity for the
So
person that
so
should be on the list.
here's why I won't shut up. Number one, Sean Baker won and gave what I think this is when he gave this speech, the best speech of the night. When he got up on that stage and told everyone, go to the movies. We are losing a fight against the streaming service war. go to the movies. That is where our art is meant to be seen, and the movies are the most important thing on the planet. And I thought his speech was beautiful, and I think it's hilarious that those who are watching on Hulu had their Oscar run cut short because of streaming service rules and all that.
Word. That's a good
Sean
point.
Baker was cooking. I'm happy for Sean. You know, The Florida Project is such a beautiful movie that I've seen so long ago. I've seen his other films. And Anora, you know, The Florida Project is still my favorite of Sean Baker. But I'm happy that he got on that stage and chose that to be his message.
Sure.
So,
sure.
But yes, I do
stuff.
think that Denis, he deserved to be up here. Yeah. Up next, cinematography, The Brutalist, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, Maria, and Nosferatu. You wanted Dune.
Of course I did.
And Greg Fraser is brilliant, so I understand. Absolutely.
Of course I did. Shout outs to the Batman too.
The Brutalist was beautiful. And
Yeah,
I've seen someone who that I speak to occasionally who is actually Hungarian. They live in Hungary, right? That's how you say it. Hungary.
Either, it doesn't really matter.
Whatever.
They both are right.
Right. He said that the images captured of that, some of the most beautiful he's ever seen put to screen from someone who's there.
Yeah, that's sick.
And then just the design, even the poster. I know posters aren't part of cinematography, but the way they chose to shoot and what they put to screen, it feels like every single shot is screaming of intentionality. But if it went to Dune or even Nosferatu, I would have been like, okay, sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Animated feature film, I was wrong again, but I'm not surprised. It's because I wasn't brave enough to say that Flow was my prediction because it's a silent film.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. But the Wild Robot also had yet to snatch an award at this point in time. You know what I mean? And I feel like the Wild Robot was going. What I like is seeing Disney take a step back. I think Pixar having to take a step back for a couple of years here has been really good.
Yeah, Inside Out wasn't winning that one,
even though that's a special film.
It was special, wasn't?
But Wild Robot made me cry. So. Yeah. It was a good film, and that's why I voted for it. I know you voted both on the same for this one. So yeah, but shout outs to Flow, man. Shout outs to Flow because it did its thing.
And I loved them getting up there and being able to speak about that. All right, bro. Let's talk about all these acting awards.
Let's go.
Because I've been thinking about it over the last week, and I think I've found my place on a lot of these. Feel like wrongly nominated positions, but I guess movies have rules, and I guess we need to follow the rules.
No, I agree.
Starting with actress in a supporting role, we had the noms of Monica Barbaro, Ariana Grande, Felicity Jones, Isabella Rossellini, and Zoe Saldana. Mm-hmm. Zoe was gonna win. I knew Zoe was gonna win. It pissed me off that Zoe was gonna win because I'll be honest, I don't think I like Zoe Saldana at all, to be honest. And in that role, she felt like the lead in Emilia Perez. But she's technically not. But because of that, she was the best part of that movie. That doesn't mean she deserves the award. Being the best part of a shit film doesn't mean you're deserving an award of it. And I think this should have gone to anybody else. My pick was Ariana because I thought it would be cool. But at the same time, Monica was my favorite piece of A Complete Unknown, if we're going with that. And Felicity Jones did fantastic in The Brutalist.
I have a problem with this category. I feel like it's gotten it wrong 3 years in a row. When it comes to supporting role actress, I just feel like they can't get it right. A couple comments for me. Monica Barbaro, like one of the best parts of The Complete Unknown's whole world. And if you look on the internet, this is all of what everybody is saying, that they feel like she could have gotten this. But this is where the blue collar experience compared to what Hollywood has to say also comes to play. This feels like, let's give it to Zoe but what's wild is like Zoe has done such a better job in so many other films, even as a supporting actress, and hasn't been given the look that she deserves. So for her to get it for this piece of shit, actually, like, it is the irony of the Oscars. It is
Right.
the irony of Hollywood on a person. So it's
Right.
unfortunate, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. I had voted for Ariana Grande. Um, the reason why I voted for Ariana Grande is because of what I said about Wicked being a phenomenon. And I think the story behind her taking that role and wanting it as a little girl and rising up and being able to raise it to where it is was super cool. The thing about her is that she has another opportunity to potentially take it home, because when the second part comes out,
Yeah.
she could end up in the same place.
Absolutely, absolutely. I disagree about them getting it wrong 3 years in a row. I will say that. I think
What was last year's?
Divine Joy Randolph winning for the holdovers was a very good
Oh,
pick.
okay, yeah, okay. So then,
But
every
Jamie Lee
once in a while,
Curtis, I know Jamie Lee Curtis is what you
they
were
did this
into.
twice now, is what I should have said. They've done this twice now, is
Right.
what I'm
And
saying.
everything Zoe Saldana saying after she wins her award about the movie is crazy because she
Wow.
ain't say it before.
Facts.
Keep an eye out because
That's
that shit
important.
is corny.
It's political.
Actor in a supporting role, another potential category fraud, depending on who you're asking, because Kieran Culkin won for A Real Pain. The other nominees being Yura Borzov for Anora, Edward Norton for A Complete Unknown, Guy Pearce for The Brutalist, and Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice. Kieran is he low-key is more of a main character than Jesse Eisenberg is in A Real Pain.
It's whatever, man.
But I'm happy for him. I
I'm
thought his
happy
speech
for
was
him.
funny. I thought he's a funny guy.
Fact.
I
He
love
been
the
cooking.
Downey and him on the stage together. So
Yeah.
I would have easily gone Guy Pearce though, because for the first 20 minutes of The Brutalist where I was watching him, I didn't realize who it was, and then it connected. And I was like, oh shit. And I still didn't see him in the role after I noticed who it was.
I like that.
But Edward Norton was also great in A Complete Unknown. He might be my second favorite part of that movie, under Timmy.
Slept on.
Actress in a leading role: Cynthia Erivo, Carla Sofia Gascon, Mikey Madison, Demi Moore, and Fernandad Torres. I want to respect either way. I would have picked her, Torres. She was fantastic, and I'm still here. Demi Moore is who I thought was going to win, but I should have known that the popular vote was going to win this one. And I said it in the predictions. If you go back and listen to this section, I specifically state Mikey Madison will most likely take it, but I want to believe in a better Oscars.
Sure. You're still hopeful. She took it though. And she took it, and I like when the people who take it also take Best Picture. So I can't hate her for it. I mean, it is what it is. This isn't a bad movie. The only bad movie here was what's it called? It was Emilia Perez. Yeah. So.
Listen, I think Mikey Madison is a sweetheart. Whenever she's talking behind the scenes, I'm like, who is this? Loved her in Scream 5, and so I'll give it to her.
She's risen to the top, man. This could change her whole trajectory.
Absolutely. Actor in a leading role: Adrian Brody, Timothée Chalamet, Coleman Domingo, Ray Fiennes, and Sebastian Stan. Adrian Brody won it. He was fantastic in The Brutalist. He got up on that stage, bro, and fucking yapped. What was he saying on that stage, bro?
Nothing.
Which makes Kieran's award speech funnier from a different award ceremony when he got up on stage and said 45 seconds. That's the allotted time we have, Adrian Brody. And Adrian was like, why are you pointing me out? He's a psychic.
Yeah, he knew what it was.
Yeah, I went The Brutalist for both, and he won. Truth be told, I didn't want, as much as I enjoy him, I didn't want Timothée Chalamet to win.
Yeah, it's for the reason that you stated on the episode, which I agree. I think he was wrongly nominated for this role and should have gotten nominated for Paul Atreides in Dune 2.
But biopics are going to get it always. And he put 5 years into Bob Dylan. I respect it.
Which is dope, and that's cool. But I just would have much rather heard Timothée Chalamet, one, break the record for the youngest when it comes to the Oscar, but two, also, like, his speech would have been 10 times better than whatever the fuck Brody was talking about. But Brody feeling all high and heavy because he'd been up there a couple times. He got nice and comfy, whatever.
Well, his little Instagram post after the show when he was walking the next morning was so much better.
I agree. It was weird.
But in my order, again, Adrian Brody, Coleman Domingo is phenomenal in Sing Sing. Ray Fiennes in Conclave is beautiful, and Sebastian Stan should have been nominated for a different man. So,
different mans.
But nothing here I was necessarily super mad at.
Sure. I feel that.
Best picture, though. Best picture.
Absolutely.
10 noms: Anora, The Brutalist, The Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Amelia Perez, I'm Still Here, Nickel Boys, The Substance, and Wicked. And Anora won.
Anora took it. You want to know why I took it? Because it was the favorite, like you said at the beginning of this episode. And kudos. But I do think when you look at the lineup of all the other movies that have won Best Picture in the last like 6 years, this is a one that like kind of stands out. Like, you here with us?
It is one of the standouts.
It's
absolutely.
Like, you in this with us? Oh, you looking at Parasite like, oh, you look, you with us? But hey, man, it just speaks to this distance, this gap that exists. And I don't know if I have hope that gap will change, and it won't change until there's a change in the people who run the decisions that have to do with Hollywood. Yep. So now I think the Oscars are headed toward this place where they become an antithesis of what we feel in the renaissance of media culture in regards to movies. I think you're starting to see Denis Villeneuve as one person, for example, push against in terms of the release of his movie and the way that he's gone about it. Part of me wonders how many politics were involved in his lack of nominations on these movies. How many places where decisions are made and they're made based on biases and who's putting money in certain places and who's getting the look or who has the diversity that goes along with this agenda. And it's like, perhaps we have to stop looking at the Oscars as a source of truth or a true north on media and instead look at it as a South Star, not a North Star, you know? And that doesn't make it any less impactful.
Right.
It's just different.
Here's what I'll say. Anora winning doesn't mean it's the best movie that came out that year.
Right.
People will think that, and that is not what the Oscars are. To me, all it is a celebration.
Sure.
Although it's funny that I put in more work than a lot of the people that are a part of the Academy actually doing these things. Because why are we hearing interviews about people who didn't watch Dune 2 because it was too long? Or people who didn't nominate Ray Fiennes because he had won an Oscar before, which he didn't. Adrian Brody did, and somehow he got their vote. What's going on here? Put me in the booth. I'll do it.
Yeah, you will do it. And you'll do it better than these.
Here's I just want to put it out there, my ranking of all of the Best Picture films and of my enjoyment levels. As well as, my enjoyment. Pray for me, Isaiah, because you're going to kick my ass. The Brutalist, I'm Still Here, Conclave, Wicked, Dune Part 2, Anora, A Complete Unknown, The Substance, Nickel Boys, and Amelia Perez.
That's fair. Based on the type of person you are and that you've seen them all, I think that's fair. But it's Dune 2 over all of them. Suck your mother, and shout outs to the Wild Robot. You already know that.
Yeah.
And
yeah. You know what? Next year, next Oscars is their chance to do something new. People looked at 2024 and said, I don't know what the hell they're going to be doing for the Oscars that year. I'm feeling that way about 2025. I'm looking out and I'm like, Nolan ain't here. Denis ain't here. But all I'm seeing is that 2026 is going to be a crazy season for movies. So I'm excited to see what kind of movies make their way to this stage this year because it's not predictable. And I think people thought 2023's season was more fun because they were able to predict, oh, look at Oppenheimer and Barbie. But it's the unpredictable ones that make me more excited because I gotta go and I gotta find out those feelings on my own. So I enjoyed this season because it truly was just a gamble. It was a gamble.
It looks like next year will be pretty similar. The calm before a big storm of a year. And we'll be there to cover it. We'll catch these movies, the ones that really pop out to us. I got to go back and watch some of these other films. Maybe some of these Oscar noms will catch episodes from us this year. But stay tuned with us when it comes to the idea of these movies. And if you want to know more about what's going on in terms of the media culture or video game culture or TV culture, because that's what we cover every time you tap in with an episode here at CUZZO-OP. You're always going to find three things. It's going to be two cousins, one podcast, endless entertainment.